Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is BucketPonds and my name is Terry. I'm going to skip the intro on this one and jump right into the aquarium. Today we are feeding our bladder snails with some strawberries. Now I have never given these snails strawberries before. Up until now, for the last, 10 or 15 generations, all they've had is cucumber slices, some algae in the aquarium, and, extra fish food flakes and things like that. But today, I decided to give them some strawberries, and I was really curious as to their reaction. I assumed that they would eat them, but I didn't know it would be like this, guys. They went absolutely nuts for these strawberries. This is my 30-gallon farm aquarium, and this is where I raise most of my snails. We have bladder snails in here, as well as Puerto Rican pond snails. And upon introduction of the strawberry slices here, they went absolutely crazy. They started swarming this section of the tank, and it takes them about an hour or two to really catch the scent of food in the water. And as they do, they start migrating towards it. And yeah, we have some interesting behavior that develops here. These snails are very, very awesome pets, and I would never call them pests. They are great to just watch and observe. They're a lot of fun to keep, and they're really cool just to have, and to look at. But I love my little bladder snails, and I love my pond snails, and you'll see some of both in here. But upon introduction of the strawberry slices, these snails, they migrated up towards them, and they immediately started feeding. You can see the strawberries are bobbing all over, and they're very active here. But here in the bottom right corner, you will see a breeding knot starting to form. When they have a ample food supply, these snails will begin breeding in mass. You can see snails on top of snails on top of snails as other snails are trying to feed, and this is completely natural. What's happening here is they've sensed that there is a large supply of food here, and it's apparently really good for them. They really like it, and that immediately triggers a massive breeding boom. They start piling up, and they are hermaphroditic, meaning that they're both boys and girls at the same time. So, everybody can breed with everybody, basically. And that's exactly what starts happening. They sense this food, they start eating, and they immediately start breeding. And I think that's really cool. They move very quickly. And, yeah, it's really awesome. You'll see snails just piled on top of each other. The bottom snail, he'll be, focused on eating the strawberry, and the rest of them are focused on breeding. And I saw a lot of eggs immediately being laid here. I don't think I caught any egg-laying activity on camera, which I still have not yet filmed. But we've definitely noticed the reaction to the food. They enjoy the food, they enjoy these strawberries, and that's a great sign for me. That shows that I need to diversify their food supply a little bit. I can't just keep giving them cucumbers forever. They do need some different items here and there. And that's pretty cool. Alright, so here we are a few hours later. I had to go to work. I was called into work at this time, so I introduced the strawberries. I filmed for a few minutes, and then I had to go. But when I came back, they had almost completely eaten that slice on the right side. And I noticed a lot more eggs all of a sudden. And you can see that, this food, these strawberries, they have brought out all of the different snails. We have different sizes, which would equate to their ages. Typically, the smaller snails are much younger, and the larger snails are, of course, a little bit older. But they have shown a lot of enthusiasm for these strawberry slices here, and that's really cool. You can see a lot of eggs up on the top part of the screen, and you can see my macroalgae in the background there, along with some mud midget duckweed and some other things. I didn't really plan on seeing any detritus worms or anything else in this aquarium at this time, because I expected the snails to come up here and really demolish these strawberries. And that's exactly what happened. But I love these little guys. They're so cool. And I see that a few of you also keep bladder snails. And I see a few people also trying to control the populations of bladder snails in their aquariums. So if that's you, if you're trying to keep their numbers down, I would not add strawberry slices because that's triggered a massive breeding explosion. Now, on the other hand, if you want to increase the numbers of your bladder snails, definitely offer them fresh foods. I know for a fact that they like cucumber slices, and now that we know strawberries work as well, that's also a good option. I've heard some people they use carrots and they blanch them, they like boil them, but I haven't done anything like that. I don't want to introduce any kind of contaminants or metals or anything like that into the tank. And believe it or not, Teflon is actually poisonous. That's the non-stick coating in most pots and pans. And yeah, so I could be a little overcautious here, but I definitely don't want to introduce anything like that into my aquarium. So I'm not boiling any of these foods. I typically rinse them off really well. I slice them up, I rinse them again, and then I add them to the tank. And apparently it's working. So yeah, you can see here these bladder snails, they come in several different colors. And I've tried to isolate the colors and breed my own color strains and all sorts of crazy experiments over the years. But I've learned that these snails can actually change color based on their age and their diet. I have had orange bladder snails, blue, purple, white, and yellow. But that's the body shape, or the body color, actually. I have not yet had a shell change color. Now, I have seen rumors online of albino bladder snails, but the photos simply appeared to be photoshopped and doctored, so I haven't yet seen any proof of any color morphs with this species. That could be just, a lack of interest from pet hobbyists. I know that ram's horn snails have been bred for all sorts of colors and things, so it should be possible with the bladder snails. I just haven't seen it yet myself. And, I'm hoping one day that we'll find one or two crazy colored bladder snails, maybe an albino, and we'll be able to take them and breed them in isolation and raise our own color strain. But as it is, I've introduced a great deal of genetic diversity to these snails, and that should discourage any kind of color morphs from happening. Typically, when you get a morph or a mutation, it's from an inbred species. It's crossing family lines together, the same family line, reinforcing negative traits. And I've done the complete opposite, so we probably won't see any cool mutations like that from these snails. And that's okay, though. In exchange for their rather lackluster appearance, we have created a stronger strain. They are more durable, they have longer lifespans, and ultimately I believe this would, make a happier creature. Now, I should not anthropomorphize these animals, these snails. They may or may not have any kind of emotion related to happiness, but if they did, I can assure you that they would be very happy. Alright, so here we are a few hours later, and the slice on the right is completely gone. They have demolished it. Unfortunately, I was not able to sit and film the entire process, and honestly, the video would have been so long, I don't think anybody would have watched it. You can see one of my tetras there in the background, just stopping by to say hello. But the snails are destroying these strawberry pieces here, and I'm very happy about that. You can see even more eggs have appeared, and we've really stirred up the population here. There are snails coming from deep down in the aquarium, coming up to the surface, feeding, diving back down. Some are surfacing. They're coming up out of the water, laying eggs, returning to the water, returning to the food. And ultimately, I can say that these strawberries were a great idea. And personally, I ate a few of the strawberries as well, and they were amazing. So, yeah, guys, if you're a bladder snail keeper, don't be afraid to try some different fruits and vegetables with them. I'm looking forward to trying other foods with these guys, and I hope that maybe you guys would be interested. You can also offer some suggestions and comments in the sections below in the comment section. I'm always happy to hear from you. And please subscribe. I appreciate it. We're up to like 400 subscribers now. And when I first started all these projects, I didn't expect to get a big following. I just had an urge to talk about these tanks. I had a desire to share this with someone, And normal people, they just don't get it. Let's be honest. All I want to do is talk about plants and algae and snails and worms. And most people, they want to talk about politics and sports and stuff, like things that's great, normal people stuff, that's cool. But I'm all about this stuff, guys. I fancy myself to be some kind of modern day snail druid or something, you know. And yeah, that's just where I want to be in my life. I look forward to the day when I can find a way to do this full time, to just step out of the rat race and to live with my tanks and to hang out with you guys and have fun. I am looking at doing some like live streams or something. I'm not sure how interesting that would be to just sit here and watch snails for an hour or two and have discussions with you guys with some kind of a live chat option. But I would like to try it, and just to see what happens. Now, I haven't seen too many of our pond snails here. I know there's quite a few in here, and I'm sure that we have a few of them on camera. But generally, these are mostly focused on the bladder snails. And I've mentioned it before, but you can see the difference between a bladder snail and a pond snail. One, by the direction of their shell. Their shell's actually coiled to the opposite direction. And also, the pond snails, they have a different antenna structure. I like to think of their antenna as more like elephant ears versus the long, skinny antenna of the bladder snails. So that's another way to tell them apart. But yeah, guys, I am so happy with this tank. For some background, this farm aquarium of mine has been running for several years now. I keep 3 pretty large tetras in here. They're not huge. They are skirted tetras. We have one glowfish named Penny. We have one albino or one white skirted tetra. I'm not sure if he's actually albino. But yes, we have one female neon glowfish named Penny. We have one white skirted tetra named Flash. And we have one black skirted tetra named Bandit. Now, I should technically add a few more tetras in here to form a proper school. But I don't think that the tank can really handle that much of a bioload. If you look at my snail population here, this is less than 1/10 of the snails in this aquarium. There are quite literally hundreds of snails in this tank. And yeah, I just don't want to stress the bioload too much. And I apologize for the lighting slightly changing here during this clip. But yeah, I should have some more tetras. In a situation like this where you only have a few, they become somewhat territorial, and they will, they'll fight a little bit, and they won't really fight, they'll just kind of run each other off, and they'll establish their own chosen portion of the aquarium. As you can see here, Flash has chosen this little section. If you have more tetras, if you form a proper school, they'll buddy up and become more friendly towards one another. It's sort of an interesting strategy that they have. But ultimately, they're healthy, and they're doing quite well, so I don't worry about it too much. There's a great look at a bladder snail there, and once again, Flash in the background. He's waiting for me to feed him. They're very observant. People say that fish are stupid and that they can't remember anything. But my fish know exactly when it's time to eat. They know exactly who I am, and that I bring the food. So, yeah, they're smarter than we give them credit for. The snails, on the other hand, I don't think that they recognize me at all. Even though I've handled some of them while they were even literally in eggs, before they were even born, I had handled them and transferred them to other tanks and things. Excuse me. But I don't think that the snails recognize, who I am or that I bring food or anything like that. They kind of remind me more of an insect-type intelligence. They breed, they eat, and they want safety. They want to breed, eat, and hide out somewhere. And that's generally their motivations. So we're coming up on the 15-minute mark, and, really, guys, I could sit here and talk about my snails and my fish all day, but not many people actually make it to the end of the video, so I'm not going to bore you too much. I mean, you get the idea. Bladder snails love strawberry pieces. They love strawberries. They love cucumber, but the strawberry was something new for them, and it drove them nuts. You can see a lot of activity here. Snails coming up from the bottom. Snails going up top to lay eggs, coming back down, feeding even more. That piece of strawberry is slowly shrinking. They definitely focused on the one chunk to the right for some reason. Probably because I sliced it a little thinner. So let that be a lesson as well. if you're feeding them strawberry slices, go ahead and slice them up pretty thin. That seems to encourage their feeding behavior. But otherwise, I don't want to bore you guys. I appreciate everyone who watches these videos. When I first started, I was very shy, explaining to people about my channel. I didn't want anyone in real life to know what I was up to. And nowadays, I don't really care. Most people who know me know that I have tons of bladder snails and that I make these videos. And a lot of people look at me strangely. I'm slightly embarrassed that the channel doesn't have more views and more subscribers, but who cares, We're just doing what we do. We're trying to have fun. And, yeah, we're accomplishing those goals. So, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope that you have a great day. If you keep bladder snails, I'd like to give you a big old thumbs up. And, drop a comment and let me know. I want to see how many of us actually love these snails versus all the other videos on YouTube where people hate them and try to get rid of them. And if, maybe you don't want snails in your tank, go ahead and drop another comment. I'm hoping to develop a community where we can help each other, raise these creatures and, control their nature in different ways. And it's just awesome. I'm so happy to hear from everyone and to participate in this this community that we are developing together. You can see some snails shaking their shells occasionally throughout the video. That is a unique trait for the bladder snails. They have the ability to shake their shell back and forth, and that is basically to dislodge other snails from your shell. They are not rasping on one another, as far as I can tell. Rasping is when a snail will actually try to eat another snail's shell to absorb the calcium. That's not what we have here. We have snails trying to breed with one another. And I guess maybe after a while, you're done breeding for a little bit, you're going to shake them off. But you'll see the bladder snails do that occasionally. And that's completely natural. Don't worry about it. It's just another funny thing that they do, their little butt shake. But yeah, guys, I got to feed these fish, and it's time to go. So thanks again for watching. This is BucketPonds. My name is Terry. I'm trying to get out more and more videos as much as possible. Occasionally, I am working nights, so I have trouble uploading. And, I can't eat up all the internet all day, so I have to wait until like 2 o'clock before 2 a.m. before I can really upload my videos and stuff. So please bear with me in these times. And as we go into the future, we're going to have more and more videos, more content, more discussion, and maybe some live screen or some live streams, some chats. I might even go through like a review process where we kind of review other people's videos. I've been looking at that, but I don't want to get flagged for copyright infringement. I'm not trying to steal anybody's content. I just know that there's a lot of bad aquarium videos on YouTube, and it sickens me. So I want to like review tanks and like talk about what I think for what other people have done with their projects. Not always in a negative way. Some projects are beautiful. And yeah, I just want to observe them and talk about them with you guys. So maybe we'll look into that one day. But for now, I'm trying to set up a green screen and have all kinds of fun. So I'm going to get out of here. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy your snails, enjoy your aquariums, and I will see you next time. Oh, and one last time, please like and subscribe. We're at like 400 subscribers. And if we can get up to 1,000, bam, I'll be able to buy some stuff for the tanks and have some fun. As it is now, I have trouble justifying the expense. I have trouble justifying spending any money on this stuff. I feel guilty myself that I didn't instead buy something for my house or, save the money. So one day, if we become profitable, maybe through YouTube, maybe elsewhere, I'll be able to put more money into the tanks, build more tanks and more cool stuff, and yeah. I want to get out here now, though. I'm rambling. See you next time.